Hello everyone, this is Juliet. The first thing I felt when I moved to America wasn't excitement. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't that new chapter of my life feeling people always talk about. It was fear. And for a really, really long time, I couldn't understand why. And also I felt ashamed of it because I thought I was supposed to feel happy, excited, and grateful, because I had to move to a new country, especially California. Sunshine, diversity, a fresh start. And so why was the first thing I felt fear? And later, I think there were a few reasons, and one was timing. I moved during the pandemic when violence against Asian people was constantly in the news. And also the outside world felt unsafe, unstable, and unpredictable. I'm not going to get into all of it, but that was the air I landed in. Here's something I only understood much later. For most people, when they moved to somewhere new, they get in the honeymoon stage first, right? Like everything feels exciting and everything is new. You want to explore, try new things, and experience this new life every day. But I actually skipped that stage completely because I had already traveled to the US before in 2019. So the novelty was not that strong anymore. And partly because when a place feels unsafe, it is just very hard to feel excited. But also, I think fear is not weakness. Fear is your body trying to protect you. Even though I feel fear was only the surface, because underneath it, there was something deeper, something I didn't have words for at the time. And also, I was slowly losing my sense of who I was. And let me explain what that actually felt like. So in Beijing, I was a competent adult, right? I knew how to do things. I knew how to order at a restaurant, make appointments in different places, and I know how to talk to people, handle complicated situations. I never even thought about it because I was just that person. Because that was my culture, my language, blah, 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 and I grew up in that environment. And then I got here, and suddenly even small things became very difficult. Sometimes I couldn't understand signs in a store, or sometimes I could recognize the words, but when I put them together, I still didn't really understand what it meant. I didn't know how to pump gas, but now I know. I would stand somewhere surrounded by people and I couldn't fully understand what they were saying. So it felt like I went from someone who could do almost anything to someone who couldn't do much of anything. It is a very strange feeling to feel like a stranger inside of your own life. And the part that hurt the most wasn't just, I can't do this task. It was all those little failures adding up until I started asking myself, who even am I here? Where did that capable person from Beijing go? And for a really, really long time, I really thought that was my English, the problem. But later I realized it was deeper than that because I can speak some English, I can read, I can communicate, I can talk to you just like right now, but still I felt like there was a wall between me and this place. I could feel the barrier, but I couldn't name it. And later, I came across the work of Bonnie Norton, a researcher in language learning and identity. And so her work focuses on immigrant women in Canada and how language learning is deeply connected to identity, power, and the right to speak. So that idea really stopped me because it helped me to understand something. Identity is not just something you already have and then express through language. In many ways, identity is also something you build through language, through speaking, interacting, being seen, being responded to. So think about that, what that means. In China, in Beijing, I had spent decades using my language to build a complete version of myself. And when I moved here, that tool suddenly stopped working the same way. So when I lost the language, I didn't just lose the ability to communicate. I lost the ability to build a me in this new place. And that was painful because part of my personality is very connected to communication. I'm not saying I'm 100% extroverted. I'm still mostly introverted, but I love talking to people, love knowing what's in their head, love exchanging opinions, thoughts, and ideas. That always gives me energy and inspires me, But here, I couldn't really do that. So I felt like I was floating. Like there was no ground under me. It wasn't that I had disappeared. It was that I had lost the main tool I used to construct who I was. And all of this, the fear, the confusion, the feeling of losing myself, pushed me to a very, very low point. And I started avoiding everything. I was scared. I couldn't understand people, or they couldn't understand me. I was scared that if I opened my mouth and said something wrong, I would look stupid and childish. I couldn't even say a simple sorry or pardon without feeling embarrassed. And I was constantly frustrated with myself, disappointed in myself. So I locked myself away for about 2 years, I think. I lived inside a safety box, and I leaned on my partner to handle many things for me. I avoided improving my English, avoided making connections with the outside world because I told myself, if I don't show myself, no one can judge me, and I won't have to see how incapable I've become. But the worst part was I was already judging myself every single day, every single time I spoke English. Yeah, and this is where things slowly get started to change, but not in the way you might expect. It didn't start with me suddenly becoming brave, or it started with me understanding what was happening to me. So for a long time, I thought all of this was my fault. I thought I wasn't strong enough, smart enough, or trying hard enough, but then I started reading and I realized that many of these experiences actually have names. That feelings of being articulate in one language but feeling stupid in another, like your whole intelligence has regressed, is connected to the idea of language ego. Your sense of self is tied to your language. So when your language becomes limited, it doesn't just feel like your words are limited. It can feel like you are limited as a whole person. Yeah. And that vicious circle I was stuck in, the more scared I was, the less I spoke, the worse I got, the more scared I became. That also made sense. In language learning, there is an idea called the affective filter. It means emotions like fear, shame, and anxiety can make it harder for you or for your brain to observe and use a new language. So my avoidance wasn't just emotional, it was keeping me stuck for real. I used to think I was broken, or I was a loser. But when I learned these ideas, for the first time, I thought, oh, I'm not broken. Oh, I'm not a loser. This is normal. The real turning point started when I went back to school, actually. Because I joined an online master's program, and it forced me to use English constantly, especially like reading, writing, and listening. But more than that, it gave me a structured and low-pressure space to use English. I wasn't being forced to make small talk with strangers. I was doing something I loved. And looking back, that quietly started lowering my wall of fear. And for my first assignment, I still remember how hard I pushed myself. I got up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning almost every day and then worked like 12 or 15 hours to finish that paper because I wanted to know whether I could be capable again in this new place. Deep down, I knew I could. I just needed to prove to myself that I could still do it, no matter where I was. Eventually, my first assignment received a distinction, like A+. And by the end of the whole program, I graduated with distinction. So I made it. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And because, my school was in the UK, I also had to get used to the British accent. So I downloaded all the recorded lectures and then converted them into audio and listening to them while walking my dog or doing chores. I just wanted to get used to the rhythm, so I could follow my studies and keep up. And slowly I started doing other small things, not some dramatic, I will conquer my fear. No, not like that, just small things like saying hi to people in the park randomly, or to my neighbor, and giving someone a compliment at the grocery store, letting little interactions happen naturally, spontaneously. At checkout, instead of hiding behind my husband, I started to saying hi to the cashier. And also, I signed up for an ESL class and made some friends there. My teacher even told me I was one of the best students in the class because my English level was actually much higher than I thought. I even went to a meetup, the offline event, like a room of strangers, but I just want to push myself to be social. And also part of me wanted to test my English, but the bigger reason was that I wanted to step out of my comfort zone because I knew I could do better. And that's why my English wasn't that bad, right? I also started having deeper conversations with my partner and his family. I started writing English and looking for jobs, and now look at me, sitting in front of the camera and recording myself. But each one gave me back a little piece of something, the right to speak, the feeling that I could function, and a little more of who I was. And slowly, I became more familiar with the environment, the culture, and the language. But the most important thing was this: I became more familiar with the new version of myself. The version of me who could actually live here. Because I didn't become the old me from Beijing again, I became someone new. And for a really long time, I had hoped I could just duplicate the old version of myself and bring her here because the old version of me in Beijing was so capable. She knew how to do everything, and I wanted to become like her again. But I guess I forgot one thing. A new environment, a new chapter, a new restarting in life, maybe it is not designed to help you copy the old version of yourself. It is designed to help you create a new version. So in 2023, my therapist suggested that I should write a letter to my fear. And I did. And also I want to read you the ending of that letter. Dear fear, I have faith that there will come a day when I can tell you confidently, I am sure about myself now. I can open any doors without hesitation. And I can turn you into excitement every time I feel you. Today, I can't say I'm 100% fearless, but I can say I'm maybe 85 to 90% there. And at the end of May last month, I was at Trader Joe's. I was so funny in this. So I saw a little flyer sitting on the counter. The theme of it was fearless. And I thought, oh my God, maybe that was the universe giving me a little nod or something, So if you're somewhere new right now, like a new country, a new chapter, a new version of your life, and you feel like you're losing yourself, I want to tell you the thing it took me years to learn. You're not broken. You're definitely not a loser, okay? This is normal. This is so okay. It comes back slowly, and you will be okay. And everything is going to be okay.